What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 95th episode of the Boundless Business Podcast. We got Larissa, Justine, and Nico here. Team, how are we feeling today?
Feeling good.
Feeling good. I hydrated after our last recording, so I'm
Oh,
feeling
that's a good
hydrated now.
reminder. I actually am probably really dehydrated today.
Yeah, it's just one of those where, like, now that it's getting cold, I just feel like I have to have something, like, warm all the time, then you drink slower, so good reminder. So, while I take my sip of water, Justine, what are we talking about?
Today we were talking about how landscapers and home service professionals can use AI to help their business grow. So some creative ways that we've been using AI to help our clients grow and just some advice that we have. So let's give a general overview of what we mean by AI.
Yeah, so this is not a technology-based podcast. I'm going to keep it very high level. AI, if you want to even get a little technical, it's basically you have a model that's trained on data and you tell the model to do something and it will do that thing, hopefully with some degree of accuracy, but not always. So we're going to keep it super simple. AI, computer code, taught on a database, and it does hopefully what you want it to do. So we're going to go over a couple examples in marketing and operations, but you've heard of AI a lot, especially after ChatGPT blew up earlier in the year. So a lot of people are trying to figure out how do we use this tool, and I'll be the first one to say is this will probably not replace you, nor will it replace most of the people on your team. Like AI code is not going to install turf. It's not going to hang lights. It's not going to plant trees. Like, it's just not going to do that. What it will do is make facets of your life easier. So the biggest equivalent to what I've been talking about is AI is Excel. So used to be able to do, tracking on paper. Then you moved it to computer code, and it makes your life easier. It probably did not replace you. It probably, cut the paper industry a little bit down. But I still have paper notebooks that I use. So, any feedback, guys, on what it is? Listen, neither if you like it or you don't like it. That's not what this podcast is about. It's a tool. We're going to show you how to use it in two parts of your business. So.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add to that is yes, you probably have heard of AI in terms of like ChatGPT. We're going to structure the rest of this podcast in tools that are like really accessible to you. So we'll be talking a lot about how we use tools like ChatGPT. There are a lot of different ones. To be honest, ChatGPT, especially GPT-4, is pretty good. So for a lot of these, I would recommend using that one. It also integrates with other tools that just might make it a little bit easier to utilize if you want to do it on like an automated basis. So ChatGPT is kind of the primary tool we'll be telling you to use because of its accessibility and its integration capabilities. So keep that in mind. It'll be ChatGPT based tools, including similar ones kind of stacked on top of that, especially because that's sort of the underlying model for a lot of different AI that you may even see in other tools you already use. You may see AI popping up in, let's say, your CRM that you might be using, in your estimating tool that you might be using, in any content tools that you might be using. You may already see AI features coming in there. A lot of those are built on the ChatGPT and OpenAI model. So that's what we're going to be using as we go through these examples.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, this is a tool. We're just going to be using these as tools. So, I kind of, before jumping into some examples, the biggest thing is when using these models, you want to get as specific as possible on what you want it to do. So I'm going to share in a couple of minutes how we use it for content, but let's say, we'll just move into that, right? So for instance, one of the hardest things, especially in winter, is coming up with ideas for what to do on your social media accounts, what ads to run, all that. Sometimes when you just stare at a blank screen, it's like a writing. It's often the hardest thing. If you just had something on paper or on your screen, you can at least start tweaking it. And that's where AI works really well. So the tool that we are using quite a bit is Bing has we can get technical, but Bing has an AI tool that was because of their investment in a company called OpenAI. And you can just go in there really quickly and then be able to quickly give the AI a prompt, right? We'll get more specific on what we want, and then it will come out with 4 images. Now, from that, you can then use those images to either put directly into a tool like Canva or something that you can further refine it, or you can just download it and post it. So a key thing to note here is anything that we talk about in regards to AI, if you don't pay for something, often you don't own it, right? So like if I stole these earbuds, they would not be my earbuds, even though they're in my position, right? If I paid for them, then I own them. So a lot of these free tools, you should know that you can't copyright any of the content that is out there. So if you use it for a logo or for a mascot, someone else can freely use that because you can't trademark it, right? So that's just
I
something.
will note it's not even just for free tools. The U.S. Supreme Court, I believe the Supreme Court, if it's not the Supreme Court, it's a district court. It's been ruled on a federal level that AI, anything generated by AI is not copyrightable. It does not matter if you're paying for a premium ChatGPT account, you cannot copyright anything that you create using AI. However, there are some things around that. If you generate a base level image in this example, and then you go and you make a bunch of tweaks to it manually, humans making those edits, those can be copyrighted, but it can get kind of technical there. So
Yeah.
just keep in mind if it's something you want to own, if it has anything to do with your likeness. Nico mentioned some really good points. Don't use AI to create a logo because you cannot trademark that. There's a lot of things you don't want to use AI for solely because you cannot have ownership of it.
Okay. No, absolutely. So, a couple of things. Let's say that you are artificial turf installer and you are looking for ideas for a social media post about your new putting green promo, and you live in let's say that you live in I don't know, El Paso, for instance, right? You can go into Bing's AI tool and you can say, please create me an image where the emphasis is on the turf um, uh, in a front yard house, for a house in El Paso, right? With putting green, putting greens in there, and it will actually then come up with ideas. Now, the very first set of images that it creates is probably not going to be the ones that you want. You're going to have to tweak it, right? So, for instance, let's say that it said putting green, and then there's like a massive golf course, right? Maybe you want to get more specific and say a 3-hole putting green, or maybe you like the golf course because that's something that you want to install in the new year. You can get specific, and from there, then you can, like I said, put it inside Adobe, Canva, and you can really finish off that design. But at least now you have something on your screen, and Larissa and I have been doing this quite a bit. Sometimes it just generates something that you don't want, which is also valuable because then you can say, okay, great. Well, I don't want I don't know, I don't want a dinosaur on there, or let's say make it a cartoon. Like I actually don't like that cartoon feel. I want it to feel realistic or something like that. At least it gives you a starting point that you can play around, and then from there be able to put inside of your ads. So this is a way for you to quickly be able to put out content, messaging, promos inside of the creative side, and be able to test a lot more effectively.
Yeah, and even though you cannot copyright it, you can use it in any advertisement. You can use it to promote your business. There's no restrictions around those. So keep that in mind. But Nico, what I love that you said, and it kind of ties into the next piece we'll talk about, is that you have to do a lot of testing to get it right. These AI models are smart, but think of them as like they're still very dumb. Like they do not have the knowledge that we have. However, they can make changes really quickly, which is
Yeah.
great, which is part of what's so valuable about it. So if it doesn't look how you want, that's okay. Make a change to your prompt and then try again. And keep trying until it's consistently delivering you results that are what you're looking for. So the next big way that we're actually using AI for our clients, and we're going through insane testing for right now, everybody on this team, I've made test my little bots multiple times now, but we're using AI to essentially serve as a virtual receptionist. So if somebody texts in, the AI can look up any information about the company itself, including, let's say, warranty information, whether financing is available, what services are offered, what services are not offered, those types of things, and having that AI serve as a virtual receptionist to answer questions and book estimates when necessary. So those are the types of things that like we're utilizing AI for. If you use it for a chat, anything, I'm going to warn you, it's going to require some pretty in-depth setup. It's not an easy setup. It's not as easy as the image generation. It's an in-depth, like a bit of an undertaking. For you to get a bot working properly that knows all your information, if you want to do it yourself, just go ahead, and I'm just going to tell you the honest truth, which is just plan to spend a good like 20 to 30 hours just getting the prompt right, just getting the responses right the way you want it. It's a lot of testing.
Especially with
So,
consistency, just like comma, like even if you get it right the
especially.
first time, it's like it doesn't mean it's going to deliver the same result
Mhm.
next.
Yeah, and if you have anything like that where external parties will be utilizing this tool, you need to test it, not just yourself. So reach out to everybody you know and tell them, hey, I need you to go test my bot, and have them test it for you. Because even if you think about the average demographics of the people you work with, let's say you're used to working with people who maybe some of them are in their late 20s, maybe, the youngest people you work with on average are like 25 to 30, somewhere in that range. And the oldest people you work with are in the like 60 to 75 range. Well, the way those people interact with technology, the way those people text is completely different. So you need to keep those types of things in mind. However, once the tool is working and working well, it can be really effective, and again can serve as that sort of front of house for you and help get a lot of things taken care of for you without you really thinking too much about it once it's set up the way you want. So a few notes I would have in here is really pay attention to the voice, and you can add those notes into your prompt. Pay attention to the voice. Make sure it's really clear what you're not permitting the AI to do. Make sure you have conditions set up for if it gets stuck or if it's in a place where it needs human intervention, that it completely stops that bot and goes straight to you. Because there are a lot of instances like that. You need to make sure that you should probably not have an AI bot handle things with negative intent. So if somebody is messaging you being like, I hate this, you guys suck, blah, 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 just don't let the bot even respond to that.
Yeah.
Just handle those ones manually. If somebody comes in and they're like, oh, what's your warranty information? That's easy enough for the bot to be able to answer. But things like that that need human intervention, make sure you have conditions set out for a bunch of different use cases, including having you intervene when the bot should not. And make sure it's really clear, like, these are the instances when you do that. These are the instances when you don't. All of those types of things. So it's a lot of conditions. It's a lot of work. It's honestly not for the faint of heart. But once you get it set up and once it's working properly, again, it can take a lot off of your existing team. I also want to emphasize, I have yet to see an AI calling software that is anywhere near where it would need to be to serve as a virtual receptionist for your business.
Yeah.
So if you do this, I would only set it up via text. Yeah, there's nothing I've seen on the market that's accessible to indicate that that could be used on a calling wide scale.
Yeah, calling seems like it should be more human at this point. AI is probably not
Yes,
there yet
for sure.
to like
For
mimic
sure.
fully human voices and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Is there anything else we wanted to cover before we end it off?
No, I think the biggest emphasis is this is a tool. It's probably not going to replace you. It's going to enhance what you're doing today and might take stuff off of your plate, which is always the goal, but it probably won't replace you. So don't worry about at the end of forever. And I mean, you are a contractor, you're a landscaper, you're a home improvement person. Like we as marketers don't even control what happens outside of our little bubble. So biggest thing you can do is just kind of milk this opportunity, because there's a lot of people who won't do it, and that's okay. You don't have to do anything like this. It's just going to save you, if you get it right, save you time, money, and effort. So for us, like that's a win, and you can't put this back in Pandora's box. So it's not going anywhere. So we can complain about it, and I know people do. Great, don't use it then. There's a select few of you who will, and you'll probably get outsized returns compared to people who don't use it. So
Yeah. The only things I'll add is, and a reminder, not copyrightable. Just remember that. That's so important. You cannot copyright anything created by AI. Also, don't be afraid to have like really long prompts. If what you want is really specific, be really, really specific. I mean, like for our chatbot, every single prompt is at least 2 like Word doc pages long. And that's just the prompt before it even generates a response. So don't be afraid to get super, super specific and make sure it's really clear. There's other things you can do with the AI as well. You can tell the AI what persona you want it to fill. You can have it respond from things as if from your perspective or as if from a perspective on your own team. There's a lot of different ways you can do that and utilize that particular function, even in terms of like if you want to use it to create captions for a social post or something along those lines, you can tell it this is the voice, this is the setting, this is how you need to craft this message, this is how the writing style it needs to be in, etc. So keep those things in mind. And then the only thing I'll add to it is it's not even the free tools for you to be able to use them on a larger scale, you will need to invest some funds. So keep that in mind that a lot of these tools, their free versions will probably not be enough to do daily actions if you need something AI wise to do a daily action within your business. You'll probably need to get a paid version, but you can get a paid version of ChatGPT or any of these other ones to get their more advanced models as well.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any questions about AI, how to use it for content or ops or whatever like that, email me at nico@balancemedia.com, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.